Hi, my name is Morley Wallace. I'm the owner of GPS Ontario, and welcome to this year's podcast on the 2020 Ontario Yield Tour. The topic today that I'm going to be talking about is how to grow more with less. And this is a topic that I've been working on for the last few years, and I call it a better management practice, and it's an advanced better management practice on how to grow crops. We all as farmers want to grow more crop with less inputs, and this is the basis of this whole project. We want to grow more crop with less fuel burn, less labor of growing in the field. We want to use less fertilizer but grow more crop. We want to use less weed spray and kill more weeds. This is all basis of growing more with less. The interesting thing that I've come up with, is a program we call fertile stripping. It's strip tilling with the addition of fertilizer while you are working the land. And by combining those two processes, you are making one pass over the field and working the soil plus putting the fertilizer in the ground. The benefit there is that you're reducing the trips across the field. What that does for you is also to reduce compaction. How do we reduce compaction in today's society? It's something that every farmer will list on their list of things of concern is the amount of compaction they have in their soil. Reducing compaction can be reduced very simply by just stop driving on it. So if we can reduce the trips over the field, then we can reduce compaction. Ideally, fertile stripping is a fertile strip size-wise is about 6 inches wide and 5 inches deep. And there's different methods out there that people are trying to use for doing fertile stripping. The first one that comes to mind is a strip with a band of fertilizer 2 inches off to the side. And that has been done with two strips, one on each side, to reduce the amount of fertilizer being accumulated. The problem that we run into, and farmers are running into, is that each of those strips are creating a hot zone, about 2 inches to 3 inches away from where the seed is being placed, which then turns into a burn zone or a burning zone for the roots, which then holds up the ability of that root to actually grow and create a plant. Another method of fertile stripping is that they will use a shank, and the fertilizer will come down the tube, come down in between the shank, and that fertilizer gets deposited at the bottom of the trench. Once again, all that fertilizer is going into one stream of fertility that is anywhere from 4 to 5 to 6 inches down. This makes a very, very hot zone for your roots if they get to the root, get to that fertility, as well as concentrating all that fertilizer in that zone and doing nothing to mix that fertilizer into that 6 inch by 5 inch zone. The system that I've come up with, is a fertile stripping process, but it blends the fertilizer into that strip through that whole 6 inch by 5 inch deep strip. What that does is that actually allows the fertilizer to be surrounded by soil. Every grain of soil will be surrounded by earth, and as that granular of fertilizer dissolves and goes through the process of converting to food for the plant, It is strategically placed in that zone so that when that root, regardless of where that root goes to, it has a very short distance in getting to food that is required to grow the plant. Because we are not putting that fertilizer into a clump or into a ribbon or a strip, we don't get the heating process. And by having that in place, then we do not get the burning of the roots, and the growth becomes very rapid. Another advantage of this process that I'm using, which is the mixing of the soil, is that it creates a perfect seed zone for that seed. It is light, it is fluffy, it is moist, and is not compacted. And those are the ingredients that I believe that is very essential to having seed grow rapidly and quickly, and germination of that plant will be within the 4 or 5 day stage rather than a week to 10 day stage. We have several machines in the area here that people are using, and I have some examples of those machines that we will stop and have a look at. So we are here at the back of our shop. This unit is a 12-row strip cat. As I was discussing a few seconds ago, there are different methods of applying fertilizer. We have a Montag air cart coming up to 2.5 inch hoses here. The 2.5 inch hoses are coming to a diffuser of air. The fertilizer then will actually drop down this tube and into the coulter or the tooth that is here. But here is the shank that is going to be digging in, and the fertilizer is going to be coming out the back. This will deposit all that fertilizer at the bottom of the trench, and that will make for a very warm, hot spot of fertilizer until it gets broken down and converted to food for the plant. So this is my unit. It is a 6-row Pluribus unit. We're using a Flexicoil air cart, 1330 plus. What is neat about this is that this is a unit where the fertilizer will come down the tubes, follow this big tube down through here, and drops all the fertilizer into the front portion of the working trench. These blades here then pick up the soil, and they are on 2 different angles. They are wide at the front and narrower at the back. They are narrow further down and wide at the top. So they actually cup the soil, lift it up into this upper area here, and that soil will beat against this bar and get pulverized down, and that then ends up back here in the packer wheels and gauge wheels, which then has little fingers at the back here, which will actually slice through those clumps and make it even a finer seed bed. On this particular unit, because some years we cannot put the fertilizer down in the fall, we have also added liquid fertilizer, and my dry fertilizer are both running down the same tube, falling into the same section, and gets blended into that 6 inch by 5 inch soil, so that everything is mixed in that whole fertilizer delivery. Once again, we've got the Pluribus Gen 5 row units. The difference between the 2 units is this one has up pressure as well as down pressure. So we have our double solenoids here on this unit. This would be for variable ground if you were going into sandy ground, and then from there into heavy clay. You might need less pressure, and that's where this unit, these units would work better. We have a different closing wheel on here. These are fingers and rods, and they make a very nice smooth topped zone for the planter to work on when it comes across with the second planting or second pass. This has been, we put this unit together as a 4-row unit mainly for going out and doing demos, so we can take this unit down the road to your farm location, and you would be able to use it on the farm for a test plot to try and make sure that this system's going to work on your operation. That is a field of corn that we have planted this year. It was planted on May the 15th, 2020. Plant population was 37,000 plants per acre, with an expected stand of around 36,005 or greater. This is a very nice field of corn to look at. It has grown evenly, it is level, it has been bright green the whole year. This field of corn never twisted during the summer, so it was never showed as being short of water, even though we were almost 7 weeks without water this summer. This corn never twisted, so the tip back of my corn cobs is very minimal, and we're going to take a walk back now and get a closer look at this corn and what it actually looks like up close. So we're walking up to this field of corn that I was just showing you from further back. This is a nice even deep green colored corn, and this field is actually, or the side that we're looking at right now is the east side of the field. It's about a 22-acre field of corn, and we are standing right at the headlands of it. The corn is coming out pretty full of the cob. We are getting some seconds coming. That one probably will not make it, but if we go down a piece, we'll probably hit some that will. We just walked here. I'm not going to, we don't have a whole lot of time here, so I'm just going to peel this one back so that we can have a look at it. So that's 16 kernel round, 45 kernel long. That is a pretty decent cob. What's nice about this also, it is full right to the tip. There's very little tip back to it. There's no tip back to this one, no tip back to this one. I'm not seeing a whole lot of tip back on my stalks of corn. This one is actually growing out of the cob, or out of the husks, just like this one is. The root structures on this is if I go down to the anchor roots at the bottom, you can see the anchor roots are there. I will possibly get a shovel and dig out a root, but you can see nice long anchor roots here. This is telling me that this plant knows that it's heavy, requires more anchor, and it has put out anchors for that. We have split along here. It looks like as if we may actually get another set of anchors being sent out from this zone as well. All right, so what I've done here is I've taken my tractor and loader bucket and gone down to the field. I've dug into the earth and I've picked up a bucket width of corn stalks and roots, and basically to show what the soil is like and a few interesting characteristics about it. What we're seeing here is a very definite line of the soils. This is a lot lighter in color soil compared to what's above it, and that soil is basically going down about 16 inches in depth of soil that we have here. If I come over here, we're getting into the 8, maybe 9 inches of depth in that one. But it's interesting to see how that line goes across. From here up is basically the area that we're tilling, and that is just about the 7 inches. We've got basically nice worked soil, about 7 inches in depth, of loose, light, fluffy soil, making a great place for the corn roots to grow. What I'm also seeing here in this zone is all these little hairlets that are coming out of the root. So out of this particular plant right here, we're getting hairlets coming down, and those hairlets are down well over 22 inches, 24 inches in length. And you don't see that unless you actually dig in and start digging up some of your ground, looking for what is the plant actually telling us that it's doing. I'm going to gently break away some of this soil, and hopefully we can get into seeing exactly what the corn root looks like that is growing there. This ground has all kinds of little hairlets in it, and very, very soft. It breaks up. There's a secondary root that's coming there that we're seeing. So I'm just going to get rid of this clump here. And now you can see all your secondary roots way down at the bottom here. These are attached to this one here. And this is a clump that is sending down these hairlets. Those secondary roots, and they are down over a foot, 14 inches in length. Nice strong roots. These are your hairlet roots that are coming off of those secondaries. We'll try to break this up a little bit more. There we go. We're breaking off a lot of them. You may hear them snapping, but anyways, there is the size of the root ball. And there's the cob that's growing that, or has been growing off of that. I'm all tangled up here. But there is the root ball. There's your center core of that root ball, and all your roots. Now that mass of root is picking up a tremendous amount of nutrients out of the soil. It's just not a little cluster. It's a full mat of roots, just about 7 inches, 8 inches wide. So when you look at it, that has gone out that full 6.5 inches. It is trying to go out a little further than that, but your main growth and your main hairlets are all within that 6-inch zone of that. And then these ones here, from the top of the ground down, that root there is over 20 inches long. So that's a bit of a look at what fertile stripping is doing for me, and how it is growing, how it produces roots, and I think that's a pretty good showing of how fertile stripping is going to give you the ability to grow more with less. This is pretty well the end of my presentation of what I wanted to show you. This is the corn that we are growing. I do believe that fertile stripping is a process that every farmer should be using, and the potential of growing a cob of corn like this for your whole field is very real. And for more information, do give us a call here at the office. My phone number here at the office, 613-489-2932, or you can text me at Morley at GPS Ontario, and we will be glad to answer any of the questions that you have in the future. Thank you. Have a great day.